Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to another Mexico edition of the Sacred Emergence Podcast. This is Michelle Wong, and you have another solo episode with me. So I have so many stories to share around flow versus force, surrender versus control. I have so many examples of that during my time here in Mexico that I feel like this has been a great lesson for me of really like surrender, or flow versus force. And I'll share two really quick ones. And really, like, I think if I had to sum up my time in Mexico, a lot of it has to do with really leaning back and releasing the need to have everything figured out the way that I wanted to. And so, and I don't think this is even like unique to me being here in Mexico. It's been very apparent. So last week, so the apartment that I live in has, these water filters where, those are like, there's these big, 20 liters or these big gallons of water where you turn upside down and then there's a little spout. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, but in the water in Mexico, you can't just drink out of the tap, right? You really need to have filtered water. And mine was running low, and the apartment that I live in, they provide it for you. You just have to pay, but I didn't know how to get the water because the superintendent isn't always around, and I was very fuzzy with the instructions. The person who's helping manage the apartment told me that there's a lot of water folks that drive around the streets with these big water filters, and all you have to do is holler at them to order one. And I was like, but I've not seen them on my particular street, right? And then my actual landlord, the owner of this apartment, told me that the apartment supplies it, and I just need to find the super and let him know that I want, 1 or 2 liters or 1 or 2 of the jugs, the water jugs. So literally last week I was running low. If I didn't get it that day, I would have to go to the convenience store and just buy my own, bottles of water. But ideally I wanted the big one because it's cheaper, it's more convenient, less plastic, and that was my preferred, method. So I kid you not, I'm literally stalking the super day in and day out looking for him. And really early, because I've been getting up pretty much between 6 and 7 in the morning. So one morning I get up to go for my sunrise walk along the beach, and there's a security guard, and I don't speak Spanish. So I talk to him, I find him in the morning, and I just ask him what time the super is going to be in. And he said, around 9 a.m. I'm like, okay, amazing. So I plan for 9 a.m. And I know that I need to have the money handy. But the problem is that I only have a large bill, and I'm pretty sure the super won't have exact change on hand in order to give me the difference. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a way to break this, this bill. So after my walk home from the beach, first I go to the ATM, and because I needed more cash, and literally the ATM only spits me a lot of high bills, and I'm like, gosh, can't they just give me mini bills, But anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'll go to the grocery store, and maybe they'll be able to break the change. So off I go, and this is not even 8 a.m. yet. I'm like, okay, I'll be back within 30 minutes. I spend the next hour trying to break the bill. It's 500 pesos, which is 25 US. And I literally am going from grocery store to grocery store, and I'm trying to buy something small because I literally just did I did a grocery run the day before. I don't need anything else, but I'm like, okay, I'll get another like small trail mix, you know? And literally, they're not taking my 500 pesos. It's too big of a change for them. So they're refusing to break the change. So I end up in Walmart and I'm waiting in line forever for the customer service person. And because in the US, that's what you do, right? You don't have to wait in line for the cashier. You just go to the customer service desk and usually they can help you. But this is like either the new moon or the day after the new moon where there was a lot of intense energy. And so I feel like everybody was in a really weird mood that day. But anyway, the customer service person was not able to help me. And I'm like getting really frustrated at this point. There's a lot of like random things that was happening when I was trying to get, the change. And finally, I'm just going to buy one mango. And I'm just gonna go to like the self checkout, and hopefully they can break this automated machine can break the change for me. And guess what? It's able to spit out change, and I was just so happy when that happened. Even though it wasn't the exact change that I needed to pay for the water, it was small enough that I was like, okay, I'm hoping that the super will have change. And it was already past 9 a.m. So I rushed back to my apartment looking for him, and he's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. It was like this whole like hunt. And then at 12:30 that afternoon, I had a client call for an HD reading, and I was just hoping that this can get all sorted out. And I was hoping that, the super wouldn't be like that. I was hoping that he wouldn't leave, right? Like during the call. And so at 12 p.m., I just look out the balcony of my apartment towards the courtyard with the pool, and I see a gardener, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe the gardener will know. So I run downstairs, and again, I don't speak Spanish, and the staff here pretty much only speaks Spanish. And I just mentioned the super's name, and he's like, oh yes, he's saying this in Spanish, and he's looking literally to his left, and he's like right there. And I turn around, I'm like, oh my God, the super is right there, and I'm so excited. So him and I kind of like have a conversation, and I'm like trying to speak Spanish, but I don't. So I'm like basically using a lot of hand gestures, and he understands that I'm wanting 2 jugs of water. And I wanted to say now, but I didn't know how to say now or today. So I'm like, mañana, like tomorrow, in terms of like, when will I receive it? And he says to me, now. Like literally, that's what he said. I was so happy. And so I only had 200 pesos on me, and it costs 100 pesos. So I give him the 200, and he nods, and he mentions something around giving me change. I'm so happy. So I go back up to my apartment, and it is like 12, right? And I'm waiting, and I have my call at 12:30, and I'm like, crap, I hope he doesn't come in during my client call, because I just feel like that's really unprofessional to have to like pause a call with a paying client. And I kid you not, at 12:20, he knocks on my door. He comes in with the 2 jugs of water, and then he replaces it for me. He pulls out $100 pesos. I give him tip. He leaves. It's 12:25, and I have 5 minutes left, ready for my call. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I was pushing so hard that morning to try to get the change and try to like, where is the super? And like being like, almost like a crazy stalker in a way of like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Because I don't see the super. And it was actually a lesson in really as a manifester to use my voice to state what I needed, what I desired, and then to trust that it was going to happen, right? That was such a big lesson for me. And so for those of you who are listening and understand human design, if you're a manifester, use your voice. Like your voice is your power, and speak what it is you want out loud. And trust that if your intention behind it is like, this is truly what you want, it gets to happen, but you got to speak it out loud. We need to speak it because our aura is closed and repelling. It's literally our energetic birthright. That's how I like to see it. So that happened in the nick of time. And I was like, this whole time, like after that all happened, I literally like was imagining all of my spirit guides, the universe, my angels kind of laughing at me, being like, you just need to relax, Michelle. Like, we got this handled. Just let us know what you want. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So that was like one example of just remembering to like, even if I did have to like, okay, I need to find him. It's like, can I be in more flow with this and trust that it's all going to happen? Because I was in that very masculine forcing state. And masculine's not a bad thing, but I was so overly in my masculine state that I was causing so much stress in my system. So that was like a huge lesson. And then another example is I recently, over on Friday last week, I went on this tour to visit Chichen Itza, visit a cenote. Chichen Itza is one of the seven wonders of the world. It's this beautiful, no, yeah, it's this really cool history of the Mayan civilization and, the science and the astrology and the engineering of this whole sacred temple, right? And then the cenote is these beautiful water holes that you can swim in of natural water. And then we visited this colonial city called Valladolid. And if you walk along the tourist strip along Playa del Carmen, there's a lot of different tourist booths, and they're trying to sell you these packages. And when I was talking to one, because one of my friends went through one, and she said it was okay, and the price was right. It was only like $50 US, and I felt, okay, well that's pretty reasonable for a whole day trip with round trip transportation, and it comes with food and everything. And so I was at one of the booths talking to one of the guys, and he quoted me like $55 US, and I talked him down to give me the same price that my friend paid for. And then I went through with the same company. I went for my snorkeling trip in Cozumel a few weeks ago. And the experience wasn't as positive or wasn't as amazing as I was expecting in terms of the whole organization of the process. I felt it was very just like not well organized. So I was really hesitant to go back to the same company. But because they gave me actually, when I went back again to talk to them, when I was actually purchasing my snorkeling trip, it was a new person that I spoke with, and he actually gave me a better rate than what my friend paid for. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just go with you guys. And even though I wasn't necessarily satisfied with the whole snorkeling trip, I was like, well, this is the cheapest I can find, right, to go on this Chichen Itza tour. So, it was last week that it happened, but it was like Monday last week, and I was like, well, I need to message the guy and tell him that I'm interested, and when can I come by and pay for my ticket. But the tour guide, or I guess the salesman, he was pretty aggressive. He had my WhatsApp number, and then he was messaging me, asking me when I wanted to go. And another thing about a manifestor is we're designed to initiate, and so I do get a little bit irritated when I get unsolicited invitations, because if I'm interested in something, I'm just going to reach out. I'm not going to, like, I don't need you to follow up with me, right? And that's a paradigm in and of itself that I believe, like, in terms of the sales and marketing paradigm, it's one of the things that I have changed for my own business. In the past, in past sales, the typical more masculine approach is you invite people, you get into people's DMs, you make the invitation, you try to sell through DMs, and I never really loved that. But I'm much more of hey, I believe that my clients and my customers are leaders, and if they're interested, they're going to reach out to me. I'm not going to start creating a names list and start inviting people to look at my services, my offerings. Like, I no longer do it that way, and it's been magical. And so when the person reached out to me, I was like, yeah, I did not respond to him because I wanted to reach out to him on my own time. And as a manifestor, that's how it's meant to be anyway, because I'm not designed to respond. I'm designed to initiate, right? Because as a manifestor, I'm not a generator or a manifesting generator. It works better, to maybe invite a generator, manifesting generator, therefore they can respond. But as a manifestor, I'm really here to initiate. And so it kind of gave me a little bit of a like, that did not feel good. So anyways, I was like, well, I did not respond. I'll just reach out to him when it's in my favor. And I was so funny, maybe it was a Wednesday maybe it was a Tuesday. I don't remember what day it was, but I started messaging the salesperson, telling him that I was interested in purchasing the ticket. And then I didn't press send. I just deleted it. And I was like, I just don't feel like I want to do it at this moment. And I kid you not, I'm in a different different WhatsApp group. And one of the women in the group, she is actually a tourist agency. Like she organizes tours in the area. And she just made a post saying how, she organized this trip last Wednesday to go to four cenotes if anybody was interested, or she also does Chichen Itza tours. And it was for super cheap, like $40, which is like way cheaper, right? It was like super, I've not seen this price before. So I messaged her and I was like, I'm interested, can you give me more details? So I liked what I saw, and I was like, okay, I'm in. I want to go this Friday. And I thought that I wasn't getting as many, I guess, sightseeing options as the other one that I was going to initially do. But I was like, you know what, for $40, it's fine. Like, I was really only interested in seeing one of the cenotes and going to Chichen Itza. I don't need to go to a third thing and then be on this super long bus ride. And then it turned out that it did have the whole package and the food. So basically it was the exact same thing I was going to purchase, but now cheaper. So that was another example of just me trusting the process and stating what I desired. Because like a lot of times I feel like I have to be in the not be in the driver's seat, but I have to like will everything to happen. And that was such a beautiful example of like, I did speak out to the universe saying like, I would love to be able to go at this price, or, I don't need to hit all the areas, but, just the top two would be amazing. And trusting that it would work for me, and it did. And so I think a lot of times there's this fear of if we're not being in action, if we're not doing something, if we're not in control, then we're not going to get what we want. And this is such a big lesson for me since being here of like, can I continue to surrender? And it is not easy. I think for my, not even just my energy in human design, but a lot of my channels that are active, defined in human design, has a lot of wanting to control. And especially if you're like me and you have the money channel, it's the line 45 to 21. That's the money channel. And it is the need to control something, right? And it's, for me, it's really like this dance and this play of like, can I trust and surrender and know that if I'm using my voice and stating with intention what I desire to the universe, can I trust that it's going to happen? And there's like two examples right there. And if I didn't like do a pause with the whole like, yeah, I'm going to pay, $50 versus the 40, like I would have been annoyed once again, right? And I did learn my lesson of not going with that company, and yet, because it's a little bit cheaper, let me go with them. And then I was able to find something even cheaper. So that was a huge lesson for me. And then something else is that this weekend, as I'm recording this, after the trip, I had a massive headache because we literally spent it was a 13-hour entire trip total. We spent 9.5 hours probably on the bus, only 2.5 hours actually doing activities. And so I just learned that, okay, like I'm not a tour person. And it really when I came home, I was like, I need to recover, I need to rest. And then that was a Friday. So the Saturday, and I also had a headache by the time I came back because I also didn't eat that much. And then the next day, on Saturday, my menstrual cycle came, so I had my period. And then I was really out. Like I had the cramps came, and the whole day I just unplugged and I just rested. And today, Sunday, I am still like, I'm still resting, right? What is this? This is like, if we look at the 4 phases of the woman's cycle and honoring her cycle along with the moon and cycle syncing, this would be the new moon phase, I believe. Is that correct? Don't quote me. But it's like, this is a time where I get to rest. So that's where I'm at. And it's been like this amazing experience here of, I joke, like being with the heat because it is really warm. Um, and because it's warm, I'm less inclined to be that much in motion. And so this is a great opportunity to have that structure of, yeah, I can get up in the morning and enjoy the cool weather. I can go out in the evening when the sun isn't as high and it's starting to cool down. But during the day, like I can totally give myself permission to stay in, to get work that I need to get done, and then to relax. And then to go with the flow with what feels good, which is part of the 22-day receiving experiment that is happening right now, which is such a beautiful container. And I love all the women who are in it. And it's just so fun to see what all the amazing women in there are receiving and what's coming forward with what is entering their lives. It is just so beautiful. So anyway, that is the vibe for today. Feel free to share this episode if it's resonated. And I love you all so much. Thank you for continuing to listen. What else did I want to share? Yeah, really more exciting things to come in June. Stay tuned for announcements there. But with the Unfolding membership, the group mentoring membership, I have a really fun thing that I'm creating for next month. And so if you're interested in joining us in the mentoring membership, send me a DM or check the show notes. And of course, I am continuing to do human design readings. There's 2 ways to do it. And then there's also in the field experience, which is one-on-one mentorship with me. So if any of this speaks to you, send me a DM, look for the information in the show notes, and I will see you all soon. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.